Hello and welcome back. My name is Erin Ferguson, and this is my video series about creating the art for a 2D video game. And today's episode should be pretty fun because we are making armor today. So if you are familiar with our game at all, if you've been either following me on Instagram or have watched any of the other videos in this series, you will know that the aim of this game is to build a powerful kingdom and to form alliances with the other kingdoms around you. So the player acts as the king or queen of their home kingdom, and they try to expand and to take over new territory and to become industrious and wealthy and all of those things that make, a kingdom great. However, in order to do that, there's a certain amount that the king or queen can do themselves, if they don't mind getting their hands dirty. But if you really want to build, a powerful empire, you're going to need some peasants. And so, in order to get peasants to move into your kingdom, you have to build them houses. But as soon as the peasants start showing up, you'll notice that they are essentially your stereotypical, illiterate, uneducated, grubby peasants. And they show up essentially with the clothes on their back. They are just wearing rags, and they're good for cheap, and by cheap I mean free labor. But if you really want to be a benevolent dictator, and you don't have to be, by the way, but if you want to be a benevolent dictator, it's up to you to improve their standard of living. And there are a number of ways you can go about doing that. For one thing, you can, upgrade their housing so that they're not living in, filthy hovels anymore. And you can also give them a bit of an education. So you can send them off to learn, various trades and improve their skills. So that's an important one. To make your peasants more valuable to you, if nothing else. And you can also feed them nicer foods. They do not have to just eat rat meat. You could start making them more nutritious and gourmet meals if you want. And the other thing you can do for them is you can actually clothe them in something other than the rags they show up in. And so as you gain more materials, more skills, and more abilities, you'll be able to start crafting clothing type items for your peasants. And different clothing will have different benefits, whether it might just have benefits where it keeps your peasants more comfortable in cool or hot weather. It can also have other benefits in the way that your kingdom is perceived by other kingdoms. Your affluence, basically, so you can be more impressive to other kingdoms if your peasants are well dressed. But also, there are times when you're going to have to defend your kingdom and you're going to need to outfit your peasants in armor, which is what we're working on today. So if you want your peasants to actually live, and you might, especially if you've gone through the trouble of training them and teaching them specific trades, you're probably going to want to outfit them properly. And so that's what I'm working on today. So I'm actually going to be making two sets of armor for this video. The first one is your classic, stereotypical, iconic set of steel armor. It's no frills, but it's basically what I picture when somebody's talking about a knight in shining armor. That's what I picture. And the other set of armor I'm going to be making is the homemade DIY might protect you in a pinch type of armor. So the beautiful steel set of armor is probably not what your peasants are going to start out with. At some point you will be able to craft armor like that for them, but I imagine at the beginning, when you're a little tight on resources, you're going to have to go with something much more basic, and that's what I'm crafting here next. And I did spent a lot of time just brainstorming, what that might look like. What would homemade armor look like? And I spent a lot of time just looking at Pinterest and searching around on Google Images, trying to get an idea for what I wanted to do. And one thing that I found that I liked the idea of doing for the helmets, doing something that just covered the top of the head but not the face. So it's kind of like the bare minimum that you could get away with. So I found a bunch of pictures of these old rusted helmets that just have straps underneath the chin that would protect, the top of your head and maybe the bridge of your nose, but that's about it. And so I like the looks of that. They look like they've been they're really worn out. The way I colored them was meant to look really rusted, so they don't look particularly safe. They look like something that's maybe been handed down or that was lost in the attic somewhere that you're gonna put on to defend your kingdom in a pinch. And the other thing that I did, so I was looking on, like I said, Pinterest and Google Images, trying to get ideas, and I saw this really funny picture of someone wearing, basically it was like a piece of a barrel as like a breastplate. So it's got all of like the wooden planks held together with like a steel, or well, more like an iron band. And I thought that was super funny, and I thought, yes, you know, if that is exactly what a peasant of no means would probably make to protect themselves in a pinch. They'd probably just tear a chunk off the side of the rum barrel or whatever and strap it on and go into battle. So that's what I drew for the basic set of armor. So this is where your peasants will probably start, and assuming they survive a few battles and live long enough for you to craft better items, then you'll be able to craft stuff like steel armor, and maybe there'll be other grades like gold armor or dragon scale armor or things like that. But they've got to start somewhere. And you may notice that I've been creating not just one set of armor, but two. And the reason for that is we needed a larger size of armor for the male peasants and a smaller size for the female peasants. Originally, I was just going to do like a one-size-fits-all armor that could just fit over their clothes, but I realized when I was essentially trying them on, our peasant sprites, that if I used the same armor for the males as for the female peasants looked like they were drowning, essentially. Because the females, even though on screen they look fairly similar in size, their torsos are actually quite a bit smaller. Heads are a bit smaller too, but their torsos are significantly smaller than the male peasants, and so I ended up making two sets. Even though they look pretty much the same, one set, fits the ladies a lot better than the other set. I also made them a couple of weapons, so not only can they go on defense, but they can also go on the offensive too. Although I was thinking about it, and I mean, between all of the tools that we've already made, things like a pickaxe and an axe and a pitchfork, I mean, all of those things could be very effective weapons. So, in a pinch, if they don't have a dagger on hand, I'm sure an axe would do the job just fine. But here in just a second, I'm going to actually pull up our game so I can show you what all of this armor actually looks like on our peasants. Because as cool as it is to see the finished sprite sheet, I think it's even cooler to actually see the peasants in their armor. Okay, here we are back in our familiar kingdom, and the peasants should be waking up for breakfast. Oh, here they come. I think I've got like 10 peasants right now, and so they eat a lot of food. Let me tell you, most of my time is spent keeping the larder stocked with mashed potatoes. But as you can see, they're all waking up, they're gonna go get their breakfast, and then they're gonna go about their chores. So I think I'm actually gonna pick on this guy here. This red-headed guy looks like he would look good in armor, so let's go ahead and open up our menu and get him outfitted. Okay, so here he is. Here's our red-headed guy, and I'm going to open up his equipment menu here. And as you can see, we can assign him to wear something on his body and something on his head. And you can also assign them, if you would like them to hang on to specific weapons or tools, you can assign those here as well. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. But in one of my storage sheds, I've already got one of the crude helmet and the crude breastplate. I've already got those in there, so I'm going to go ahead and drag those over onto his chart here. And then he should head over to that storage shed and go pick up his new gears. Let's follow him over there. Look how industrious my peasants are being. They're watering things, they're cutting down trees, taking care of the animals. I'm very proud of them. Alright, and there you have it. He went and put on his gear. Of course, it's a little hard to see behind his watering can, but you get the idea. Look how cool he looks. So now he is ready for anything that may attack us while he is watering his potatoes here. So I hope that you've enjoyed getting this little peek of gameplay today. I know it wasn't much, but I still thought it was fun to show you the peasants in their cool armor. So as always, I will be back next week with another video, and so until then, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you then.